I was 15, I started using drugs regularly, and it went from, just smoking marijuana from when I was 13 to using street drugs like ecstasy and methamphetamines when I was 15 years old, getting high in the high school bathrooms, just really seeking out that next fix, if it was from a guy or from a drug, whatever I could do to just escape the reality that I was put in. It was a really dark place, and it just followed me and followed me. It was like I couldn't break it, and I just felt alone all the time. And that anger and abuse from the start just continued into every relationship I got in. It was just abusive, and anger was just the center of it.
I was surrounded by a lot of things that kids didn't need to be around, had to grow up really fast. About a year and a half ago, I got into a relationship that was very toxic because the guy I was seeing, actually, he had a drug problem, so he stole our rent money, so I ended up losing my apartment, and I became homeless. I lost my job. I would faint, I would fall, smash off of things. I lost about 30 pounds in a month and a half. It came to a point where I couldn't really be myself anymore. It wore a lot on the people that were around me. Allie was a huge part in that, just constantly there by my side, making sure I was okay, trying to always make sure I was eating or I had everything I needed.
And my friend Jackie, she was staying at my house. She was really sick. She was diabetic, and she just had a lot of health issues going on. And this one night, just something felt weird. We were out, and I just kept feeling like we needed to go home, that we needed to go back to my apartment. And when we got back, she's laying there just in this pool of sweat. Just, her eyes were just rolled back into her head. You'd pick up her arm and it just fell down. There was no life in her body. It was the scariest thing I'd ever seen. I mean, I've known this girl since I was like 6 years old. And to just see her lifeless laying in a bed was the worst, scariest feeling. I just dropped to my knees. I started crying out, screaming for God, asking Him to save her, saying, I know she has purpose, that there's more than this, God. I know there's more than this. And I was just calling out to Him. My friend dialed the paramedics. By the time they got there, I was in the same place. They had to remove me from the room, and they brought her back to life. Her blood sugar was only at 19. And if you're a diabetic, it should really be somewhere from 90 to 120. If we would have been there 10, 15 minutes later, that would have been her life. And the paramedics, they brought me to the hospital, and then they checked me into the crisis unit. And that's where God just really encountered me.
She was going to church through Cityreach already by herself and with a few people that she knew there. And she would come home and she would tell me that I had to come, that this is great church and great people. And I just kind of pushed it off for a while. And I had a dream that I ended up going, and just such an amazing feeling when I was there. I just remember just singing and raising my hands and worshiping, and just the feelings there in the dream. So I woke up and I told her about it the next day, and I told her that I did want to go. And I'm so glad that God used her to pursue me, to bring me to Cityreach.
And I fell asleep that night, and I woke up at 3 a.m. with the typical fear and anxiety that I would wake up with all throughout the night. But something was different that night. All of a sudden, this light just beamed in on my left side from the window, and it was 3 a.m. It was a dead-end road. Nobody was coming down that street. And I look out the window, no car was there, nobody was there. And I looked back on the wall and shined across, and the heaviness just left the room. His light filled the room, and I knew that there was a God. I knew that He loved me, and I knew that this was going to be a turning point in my life. I spent another day in that crisis unit, and the next night I had a dream, and the Lord looked me right in the face and told me, follow me, and anything is possible. And from that moment on, I never had another nightmare. The cravings were gone. In weeks, I wasn't on anything. I was able to come into the women's home and just see my life totally transformed. God's love just kept pursuing me. It never ended. It completely just changed my life. I went from just a depressed, anxious, just abused person to someone that is just so filled with joy, that will go out and tell people that God is real, that He can break down those strongholds, that He can break those walls, that with Him, anything is possible.
My life has completely changed. medications that I were on for the fainting, they had me on one for my heart rate, for my blood pressure, for all the antidepressants I was on to help me sleep. They told me I would have to be on for the rest of my life to not be able to faint anymore. I haven't taken those meds since being here. I haven't fainted once since coming into the home, and I just know that's all God. There's no other way that's possible. It's just a miracle that I'm still here today, and I've gained back most all that I lost, about 25 pounds. I'm healthy, I'm happy. Just so excited to see where I'm going to continue going and what else He has in store for me.
He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I will trust. Surely He will deliver you from the snare of a fowler, and from the merciless pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge.